Hey Bob.
Hi. I'm not on my ideal machine. I'm trying to figure out where the Zoom window went.
Yeah, that happens so often. They just change things slightly and it just goes, yeah, it's weird.
Okay, window. Uh, Zoom meeting. There we go. Maybe that's it. There we go. Can you see me?
Yeah, yeah, I can see your face. Absolutely.
Oh, I see. Okay. Good morning.
Good morning, good morning. I have the wrong thing plugged in here. I've started using a proper microphone and I'm not really in the flow of it yet, but it makes a big difference to the recording.
Yep.
You're okay to
Um,
record this session, obviously, right?
of course. Um, go away. What's the okay for? There we go. Um, before everything crashes, let me share my screen and show you some stuff.
Yes.
We can talk during it or after it. Um, okay. Share screen is now here. Uh, entire screen. Share.
Yep, that's good.
And then let me go to Safari. And let me go here. And let me go here. How do I move this sucker out of the way? There we go. And let's get this out of the way. So the big difference between what you saw in the past and what you're seeing now is how easy it is to make these things. I will actually, unlike all past demos, at the end of this, I will actually make something. Um, and I've just been having a ball putting things together. The and I've been trying to figure out the exactly right way to say this to people. Because if I show this to somebody who's a programmer, they'll look at this and they'll say, well, what you've got here is you have a bunch of text boxes and you have some images and you have some video. I could put that up in a few minutes, using whatever HTML code I'm using. And my answer is, yep, you could, but I couldn't. But for me to be able to assemble something like this, in, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes and which includes, some of the writing and everything else is just phenomenal. And yes, I know there are programs like Miro and Prezi and Obsidian that will do some of this, but they're not as flexible as tapestries, and also tapestries are free. Um, so I'm not going to push up buttons except in a couple of cases. This is one of the old tapestries, sort of remade of the 9 versions of a uh, African folktale. And, you can, zoom in easily here on these things, and they work really sweetly. And let's go to this one. You'll like this one. So basically, after Zuckerberg's announcement the other day, it started making me think of the way that all the industrialists in Germany caved to Hitler and the Third Reich. So I asked these six different these six different AIs about the role of German industrialists. And then I asked it the question, um, can you draw any parallels to today, especially the roles of Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg in relationship to the Trump presidency? And interestingly, um, Claude and the two Googles completely chickened out. Um, the where's this one? I apologize. I need to be careful. about drawing historical parallels, and it says nothing. But what's amazing here is that Meta answers that question in the following way. The parallels are striking. Musk and Zuckerberg seem to be taking a page from the playbook of German industrialists who supported Hitler's rise to power, et cetera, et cetera. Um, I was shocked to see Meta say something like that. And interestingly, Perplexity and Microsoft's Bing AIs, they all basically answer it substantively also. Um, this is a remake of the original Tapestry, the very first one we ever made. But that one, it has Alan Kay's, it broke up Alan Kay's talk at the Vannevar Bush Symposium into chapters. But in the original, we had to go to a different page for each one of his discussions of the pioneers. And here it's all on one page, which is pretty fantastic. And although I can't do it today, we'll be able to click on a given chapter, as it were, and bring all of it forward at once.
A
Um,
question on this.
yeah,
First of all, what size monitor are you using right now?
I'm just using a MacBook Pro.
So is it a 14 or
No,
16
it's
inch?
not a Pro. Sorry. It's a MacBook Air. It's a 15-inch MacBook Air at maximum resolution.
Okay, that's very useful because obviously, well, right now I'm at home, so I'm looking at it on a 27-inch, which is very pleasant for this type of large view. And of course, in an XR environment, it could be any size you want. So yeah, thank you.
Right. I mean, I can change obviously, the zoom. Right now, it's a plus and minus of 30. We're changing it to what do you call it? A slider. So it'll be exact.
Right.
Um, this is just something I made because I like her work so much, and it took 10 minutes to get these.
So brilliant. I agree with you.
She's fantastic.
Uh,
Um, this was the first time I decided to ask a bunch of AIs a question, and it, it's fun to lay out. But what was interesting here was that I put in some comments here, just notes that I thought were interesting, and I sent it to one of our programmers, and we ended up having a conversation where we would just make a new text box and start typing in it. And it, it the I explained to him that it was starting to look quite Talmudic, and he didn't know what that meant. So I, of course, got a picture of a Talmud for him. I don't think this is a good model for if you're going to have 20 people in a conversation, this would get way out of hand. But for two or three people, it's really interesting compared to a threaded conversation to be able to sort of go into the exact place you want and draw a line from one to the next. And there's no reason why the lines couldn't be driven down. I'm not sure I'll get this right. I'm not going to. I think I would need to zoom in to make this really work properly. Um, no. Anyway, we're still, this is not, we're not ready for prime time yet. Um, this is just the old basic demo. Teacher describes an exercise. There's a um, instruction manual, and this is, basic is running in here. The This is a new piece. The emulator is working brilliantly. Okay, if I launch the Hitchhiker's Guide in here, it's slow, but it runs 100% of the functionality of the original ebook from 1992.
That's
Um,
amazing.
and it, I can't, it's so interesting when I made this the other day, I realized that there we go. I realized the other day that when we talked about expanded books, it wasn't just the originals, like the simple sort of recreation of uh, of a of a printed book, but we went further and we started doing things that were much more complex. And it was cool to be able to put, the Macbeth running in the emulator and videos of mouse and the flexibility here was remarkable. And let me see, that one's not going to show. Oh, okay. So let me create a new one and let me get out of full screen mode. Uh, um, expanded books. So this is the folder that I have. And okay. So this is a folder that I have of things in it. Some of the still pictures and PDFs from the last tapestry I showed you. If I just open that, select everything, drag it to the tapestry, it brings everything in, and I can just make a grid um, to make it simpler to sort of see what I've got.
That is really, really important that you don't have to move
Sorry,
every item around manually.
there we go. Um,
Yeah,
and then
that's a
I can
big
put
deal.
them where I want, and this grab handle isn't at all optimized yet. Come on, Bob, you can do it. I know you can.
Yeah, these things are so often fiddly, no matter what you do.
Yeah, but anyway, I can resize things. And to bring in a video, um, and then, a nice thing is I can take these items and just bring these around. Um, and here's a video. If I just copy that and go back to the tapestry and paste it, it brings in the video, which I can then place where I want. Um, Again, it's the to be able to work that intuitively and not writing any code and having everything be either just sort of dragged in or copy and pasted in is pretty fantastic.
Yeah, it really is.
The I don't know if this will work. Let me see if it'll work in Chrome. Where is Chrome? Oh, I don't have Chrome on this machine anymore. Let me try this. Let me go to tapestries and let's try this one. Create new. Huh. Anyway, um, let me stop the share. So I'm hoping that sometime in the next month, we'll be able to start letting people work on this. You know, it there's there's a bunch of little UI problems and a couple of memory issues, but we're we're trying to keep version 1.0 really lean, and I think we'll get there.
Yeah, lean is
It,
hard. It's always easy to add another feature that just makes it more complicated. Lean is not easy, so good luck with that.
well, I've I've been in this war a lot of times, Frode. I I've learned my lesson.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
the and it's and also the more that I work with it, the more I realize what we have is absolutely enough for now. The I mean, yesterday I had occasion I have a little Mac Mini, and I was thinking of doing this demo for you on that, but the Apple Store doesn't open until for an hour, and I don't have a trackpad for it, and I could use a trackpad right now. And so, but I noticed that when I put it, oh, I know which one I didn't get to show you, one of my favorites. The that when the track when the when it's on a my big LG wall monitor that I use for with the Mac Mini for showing TV, that I suddenly realized, holy shit, this is going to be amazing for teachers in a classroom because they're going to have all that stuff there, and all they're going to have to do is point at something to bring it up on the screen. There's no, they're not going to go in with a bunch of links. They're going to go in with everything there, and it's going to make their lectures flow so much more smoothly and beautifully than they can now.
So, for context, let me just briefly tell you what we're discussing at the lab at the moment.
Great.
We're trying to figure out what the document format for XR should be, and it's become a really big and difficult issue because we don't want to have an environment where you put on a headset and you do all kinds of cool stuff and it's kind of in a database and it's kind of gone from you and it's kind of dead. It has to be in a way that you can take it between your traditional computer and the headset, which is where you come in. So what you have is kind of an advanced knowledge map kind of a display, right?
Exactly.
Right. So that should be possible for you to continue working with on your computer and put on a headset, and it's all there in an XR formatted way so that you could literally use an entire wall for your display
Yep.
or many walls or float in space or whatever you want, right?
Yep.
So then the question becomes, how does the user own this? What, is it going to be saved as a PDF? Probably not. But even if it's in a HTML or JSON, which is more likely, then what? Right? Kind of at the end of the day, what is
It
the
it is a
workflow?
format. I mean, one of the things I don't know if you remember in the demo that I did with the prototype, the last thing I did was take a tapestry and paste it into a WordPress blog. Because in my mind, what we're creating is exactly the sort of digital era analog of a PDF. PDFs were made to bring print with us. Uh, Tapestries are made to bring complex multimedia documents with us.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, but this, yeah, I'm just saying that this is our ongoing discussion because one of the issues is Dini. You know Dini, of course,
Of
right?
course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's very theatrical, very larger than life person. And she mentioned a year ago that she wants to be in a room with a headset, reading stuff and being able to tear things off, put it here, put it there, and all over the place. And in the beginning, that was technically a bit intimidating, but I do agree that that is a very, very important ambition. So that means we also now need to define this thing that is turned off. First of all, taken off, torn off. What do we call it? Currently, the language we're using is lifted, and a lifted piece in an XR space, who owns it? Is it owned by the original document, the software, the room, the environment, the operating system, the user, the authoring environment? These are really difficult questions that we're playing with. Our current stance is that what is lifted is basically a citation or a quote. So it has knowledge of where it came from and where it is in space, right?
Yep.
So that then gets very interesting because of what you're building. I would very much like to be able to go into the tapestry, do stuff, select items, copy them somehow, go into what we're building in the lab, paste them, and they are pasted with some sort of provenance and intelligence.
Yep. I don't see why not.
So that's going to be a user interface challenge more than a technical challenge because I also have the same issue that you have with programmers. You know, you talk to them and it's very much, yeah, but I can do this, yeah, but it's like enough of the yeah, but you know, it's the manner how it's done is kind of important.
Well, and I've started to say to them, when they say that, I say, yes, but you didn't, because you didn't understand why the rest of us might want it. And that often shuts them up.
You know the story of the Columbus egg?
No.
Well, apparently, when Columbus came back from America, I'm not saying it's a true story at all, but a lot of people were saying, "Oh, you just got in a boat and went to the other side of the world. I could have done that." So he gets kind of annoyed and he takes an egg, a raw egg, and he says, "Okay, anybody who can make this egg stand on the table without falling over, narrow side down, if you can do that, I'll shut up." People try all kinds of things. Obviously, they're not allowed to lean it or use salt as a base, nothing like that. So finally, the egg comes back to Columbus. He takes the egg and he smashes it onto the table. It cracks, goes everywhere, but it's upright. And somebody says, I could have done that. And he says exactly what you said, Bob. Yes, but you didn't.
Excellent.
I just love that story.
It is a good story. Let me show you one more thing because it has such a beautiful resonance with the past.
One more
Um,
thing. Yeah. Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes, Steve
The
Jobs.
yeah. Um, Share. So this um this is from 1981, and it's a father. It was a scenario we described of a how the future encyclopedia would be used. And so what you have here is a flat television screen on the wall, and it's a father giving his son a tour of 1960s rock and roll. And this is a tapestry made from this fantastic video disc we had, and it's 15 music videos. Th These are pretty fantastic. These were made in the 70s before MTV. Um, Let me zoom in on one of these. And what's I didn't realize this until last night when I was showing it to somebody, but that we actually had, because I put it up on the big screen TV, and I was giving some younger f friends who were here who knew none of this history of the music or of the video that's in it, and I realized that I was exactly doing um, what this father was doing with the flat screen television. And this was a good 20 years before we had flat screen televisions, or obviously before we have what we have now. And I'm discovering all kinds of resonances with sort of past goals that we had, um, that are suddenly now possible.
Yeah, that's amazing. Isn't that the best feeling in the world?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when you're as old as I am and you realize you've been consistently, you've been on a through path for 40 years.
It, yeah, no, exactly. And isn't it also weird when it comes down to the simplest things, the absolutely simplest things?
Yeah, well, that means probably you're in the right place.
Yeah, it's the most amazing feeling. And it is really important that we have the community of us because when you work on simple things to make things simpler and more powerful, not a lot of people get it. They just don't.
Yeah, I can't wait to show this to Vint. I mean, because he was such a proponent of the early version, he's gonna really love where we've gotten to.
Yeah, I definitely think he will.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's a very big supporter of the kind of work that you're doing. And his level of interest, though, is very different. Like he doesn't do a lot of keyboard shortcuts. So I've redesigned a lot of reader and author to appeal to him as a case.
Uh-huh.
Just, someone who's really clever, but not necessarily the kind of power user that I am. So the use of context menu, oh my God, I go back and forth between reader and author, removing and removing, and hang on, we need this. So it goes up. And it's like, does that really communicate what it is? We have to add a word. No, that's too many. You know what I mean? It's like constant trying to whittle it down to the knife to cut through it all.
Yep.
So yeah, no, that's good. That's good.
And I think that certainly by the third week, by the last week of January, I'll feel comfortable showing this to a larger group of people.
Okay.
And
Uh,
then
let,
the
let's
goal
start.
is in February to let people start to have it. I need to write some. I mean, the big problem, right? Not a problem. We don't have a server yet. So right now, these things have to be on local on your machine. But
I
we're
have
gonna
a server. You're welcome to just completely do whatever you want on. I have a full machine at a company called Liquid Web, which is such a cool name, of course.
the
That's
I think the guys in Bulgaria are gonna do it. I mean, obviously not obviously, but this is going to be at the Internet Archive eventually, but we don't want to be on their schedule for
yeah.
people, beta users. It'll take them who knows how many weeks or months to actually make it. And partially because Brewster, he's very cautious now because they got their the attack on the technical attack on the
Yeah.
archive was so deep and so severe that anyway, thank you for the time, Rhoda. I uh really wanted to show it to you.
It's really inspirational. I'm trying. Actually, can I show you two things that I'm working
Of
on?
course.
Okay, thank you. There's one thing that's literally new today, but I think you're the man for this. So, and please look at this in a very selfish way because of your brilliance, in a way of how it fits your world, okay? So just briefly here to begin with, this is just an author window and it's a journal. So I just write down the date and then what happened that day. I found it to be very useful for two reasons. One, I can now link to other documents. So if I write too much in my journal, I cut it, put it in a document, and link to it. So that's kind of nice. But also, I have this feature called Mark, which all it does is make the text orange and bold.
Nice.
I usually use that for action items. So the thing I hate about paper, not journals, you write something and there's an action item and you forget to do it, right?
Right.
So here, if I now fold it into an outline, anything that is orange stands out in the outline. So then, oh, I have to do this. And once I've done it, I control click and choose mark again, and it goes away.
Sweet.
So that's the first.
Just for fun, is there a URL that goes with what I'm looking at?
No, some of this is available in author, some of it isn't, as in the
Okay.
release
I
version.
was just wondering if we could if I could put an operational author.
Hang on, at the door, 1 second, delivery. Not sure whether or not just leaving it. I have a vague feeling I know what you're going to say, so I'm quite excited. So go ahead and say it, please.
Well, I mean, I just want to see if I can get author put author into a tapestry.
Author documents they're called dot liquid. Hang on, I'm just gonna. Uh, and the thing about that is, if you do show package contents, they have a lot of JSONs.
Hmm.
The JSONs is the map view here. So that's probably something that we should be able to make compatible to jump between our systems. But
It,
the key
yeah.
brief thing to show you today is actually AI related.
Okay. Great.
You and me are similar AI skeptics, but also accepting that people use it, so we have to make it more useful. So the first thing is
I'm
this.
not an AR skeptic. Oh,
Okay.
AR skeptic. Sorry. I thought you said AI skeptic.
Yeah, no, AI.
I'm not an AI skeptic.
I think, okay, well, I think you and I are the same, as in it can be abused, but we got to use it. So
Oh,
here's
absolutely. It can be abused, but what can't?
exactly. So while you're writing, because the whole point of author and reader is to help you think, not to think on your behalf, obviously. That's one of the areas we connect. So in this prompt, Spark, which has a long prompt that basically says, I need to be inspired to write something next. This is what I've written. What might you suggest? So it goes through things like first a summary to make sure you have written what you think you've written. Then it goes through all kinds of weird things from origami to synesthesia. This is random to see how it relates. And then at the end, it goes through your own interest, right? Because in author now, not only do you write your own prompts, that you can then instantly apply. You can also tell the system who you are, what you're interested in, what your
Well,
field of interest is.
this is fabulous. But how are you, what AI are you attached to?
ChatGPT.
And it, how does that work in the real world in terms of, does the person who's using it have to have it, they tie it to their Chat GPT account?
No, that's not allowed by Apple because then Apple doesn't make money. So currently I give it to them for free, a limited amount of queries per day. I'm planning to make it a subscription within Author because it would be best for everybody if you use your own key, but Apple doesn't allow it. So this is for writing, but this is the entirely new thing today, which is while you're reading. Because the challenge is, and this is where I'm hoping you and me can integrate. The challenge is if you ask this to summarize and tell you what it is, it's doing the thinking for you, right? So let's just do this. We do ask AI, and this is now based on somebody who has a technology and hypertext background. They've entered that in the settings. So it goes through and it gives a little bit of a summary, but then it takes the keywords which are relevant to that user, not just generic keywords from the document. So for instance, here, the user has said, I know technology and stuff, but I don't really know social stuff. Tell me about the social stuff. And what's interesting about this approach is, first of all, here's a general one, and here are, because I'm testing, it's not as elegant as it could be, but there's also things like timeline. It extracts it so well if there's any time-related information. So I'm thinking that's probably something you could easily integrate it into your tapestry, as in you have a tapestry, there is time information. By the way, over here is a timeline automatically created for it.
It, it's very interesting because we have been talking about the problem of, not problem. We want to give people the ability inside of a tapestry to query an AI because of 100 different things. You take, you can imagine a tapestry with lots of content to it. Oh, I mean, I didn't show the encyclopedia one, but that has 1,000 pages of really interesting documentation and documents in it. You might very well want an AI to summarize it and to you know, what would how would X summarize this versus how would Y summarize it? Your timeline example is a good one, but we've been stymied on the problem of how do you actually get an AI into a tapestry,
I
which you
think,
seem to have
yeah,
solved within Liquid. Um, but that because Liquid is an Apple app.
yeah, I have partly solved it, I think, um, by doing the pre-writing of prompts. That's the first thing. So you apply a prompt that is pre-written, so you don't have to write the question every time. That's really important. And the second thing is, and that's the new thing, um, you tell it about yourself. Because in author, you have this journal. You also have a document for ideas that you just write down. So what I want in the future is for, if the user wants it, it automatically goes into your ideas document and uses that as part of the prompt. Because then it knows more about you, right?
I mean, yeah, theoretically, you could give it access to your Gmail account, right? And it could read all your mails if you let it.
Yeah, you could do a lot of that, but I think that the challenge is for people like us.
Well, I love the ideas document. I think that's great. Um, People like you and I would fill it out. You know, I'm uh,
It is yeah, it is a little bit of an interface challenge to make sure that people want to fill it out. Because like the extraction of by the way, just to on the side, the timeline that you saw, I also have a prompt for people. So once you start building up a few of those and they're relatively robust, then the user should be able to design their AI experience or whatever you call it. So it can say, if I ask for an overview, include a timeline or not, almost like checkboxes. So I can imagine with the tapestry, which is so aligned with the work we're doing on mapping with author, you know, you have a headset on and you have designed the rooms, like you have your tapestry in front of you, but you've decided on the right is people, on the left is a timeline. So if anything, it's automatically there on the timelines. You can see it in context, etc.
well, also we should be able to from Liquid take a Liquid document then and say make a tapestry out of this. In other words, extract if the tapestry mentions, you know, seven famous computer scientists, at the very least, it should be able to go and get the Wikipedia page for all those automatically and build a tapestry.
Yes, I just did this now, just clicking about. Here's a paper called Storytelling Machines, and I asked it to extract the names. And what I've asked it for in this example is only use information in the paper. I don't want you to guess who this person is and get the, you know, someone else. Also at the bottom here, it's a bit tiny, but you can click to save the metadata as an appendix to the document. What you're saying is more interesting. Use this to find Wikipedia articles and display it in more interesting ways. I mean, like a lot of this, let's say if I can find a picture of this person. I don't know if that's useful, but does that person have a Wikipedia article? No.
I mean, I think that, you know, at the very, you could say if there's a put a take the three most um, linked to or looked at objects related to this person from the web. You know, their personal page, their Wikipedia page, you know, the paper that they've written that's been referred to the most times. I mean, it becomes an advanced search tool um, that can then automatically generate a tapestry, um, which gets pretty interesting.
I completely agree with you. And just want to show the overview again. I call it AI overview to make it clear. I find it so useful. There was a paper circulating in our community recently about how reading on paper is apparently better than reading on screens. When I read that paper, there were so many technical terms I didn't understand. One was N400. When I
Hmm.
did a search on it, I found tax information. But when I asked it to do it here, it explained that concept in relation to that work, which was actually useful. And this is why we're now I'm now trying to see if we can customize it. It's actually quite tricky the way to put the text in. So now, for instance, I asked someone who has a biology background, but they want to learn about technology and hypertext. Suddenly, there's a lot more things to explain. Like a GUI, it would be annoying if you and me had to see the definition of a GUI, right? That this person needs it. And let's do the opposite. Here's someone with a technology background. Um,
Oh,
see what they get. Okay, it's changed the formatting, but it's got a few things, pedagogy, emergent structure, things that aren't necessarily theirs, right? So yeah, I think that we're sitting in an incredible time, obviously, with AI, but the challenge of AI is still the interaction, and that's what you're working on.
yeah. I mean, by the way, about AI and being skeptic or not, I think AI will probably be the end of the human species. But for what you and I are doing right now, it's really interesting. And was we're not um, we're not coming up with super intelligence. We're just using it to enhance our abilities. The old Alan Kay, amplify human abilities. Uh, AI itself is going to go somewhere dangerous, probably, but we're it's fun for you and me because we're not playing around at the danger zone.
I kind of agree about that fear, but I can't afford to go there too much because of Edgar.
Okay.
I want, to be positive for him. However, I really do believe there's something almost God-given about AI and XR happening at the same time. I really do think
Yep.
that having more ways to view information is the only way we can get a grasp onto the AI.
No question. No question. Would you send me the link to the video of this?
I
I both
will.
want to. I want to show. I want to show the actual demo to my colleagues, but also I really want to dig into what you're saying about the AI stuff, because being able to link what you're doing with what we're doing, I think is a very rich vein to explore.
Absolutely. I'll do that
Hi,
in our
Edgar.
summary as
How
well.
was the swim?
Good,
How was your swim?
good.
Good.
His brain has grown so much over the holiday that I'm wondering if his skull is about to crack. Yeah, and badminton. That was the badminton. Excellent.
Oh, he was swimming, not badminton. Sorry.
Both.
Oh,
Just move one hand and I say one.
Oh,
Easy.
cool. Yeah, no, it's amazing. Edgar, come back. I want to say something to Bob about what you're doing right now, please. So this is fascinating and relevant. So we went to Japan last. Um,
Should I take? Yeah.
yeah, get the figure. So we got these kits, these Gundam kits,
right.
right?
Yep.
And here it is, the
Yep.
and one thing that I learned in Norway from a family member who is, well, friend who is a teacher, pointing out that in schools now they don't do, woodwork or sculpting, which is crazy. So the three-dimensional learning isn't there. When Edgar bought this a year ago for Easter, he had to have mommy or daddy help him all the time to do it. Now he'll sit down, do it himself, complain a bit, get on with it, and it's done. So these physical three-dimensional structures, how can our educational systems not value them? Edgar, show what you've done.
Oh, nice. That's
All
elegant.
by himself. He asked me for one thing, and I said no. Yeah, he asked me for one thing. I said, okay, I'm going to get you a coffee. That's what I call it when I give him an ice cream, because he gets the coffee when I have ice cream. Anyway, so Yeah, very relevant. We need to understand spatiality with computing more. We need to understand the AI. You mentioned Alan Kay. He has said he wants to
That's the two.
he wants to try the Apple Vision Pro, but of course he's not doing that well.
Raise it
Cool.
to
I gotta
it having wings and I saw a player on top.
I gotta finish my conversation with Uncle Bob.
I saw Alan 2 months ago in London.
How was he?
Um, he's much better. I mean, he's not imminently dying of cancer. He seems to be in remission at the moment.
Very good.
I don't think he's very active, but he's building a new organ to play in his flat. And anyway,
I'm just
he,
emailing him now.
I'm sorry, you just did what?
I'm just emailing him now, and I'm saying, I hope you're doing well. Bob Stein said you look so well. Would you like a session with the Apple? Because he has asked me to keep bugging him about this as his energy comes and goes. So it will
Yep.
be fun to get his reaction.
Yeah, I think he'll like it. Um, anyway, I actually have to go now.
That's
But
absolutely fine. I will send
but
you.
what you're doing is I mean, it's really coming along beautifully. Um, I think I'm gonna have to start to experiment with it now with liquid. Um, I mean, the inclusion of the AI in it makes it very exciting and compelling for me.
Yeah, it does, but we need to find out how we can combine what we do
Oh, we
because
will. I think that's yeah. The and do send me in as first step, do send me the link to the today's video, okay?
absolutely. I'll send you a summary, a link, AI thing, all kinds of goodies of today.
Thank you. Thank
Uh,
you, Frodo. Have
have
a
a
good
lovely
evening.
day. Fantastic
Thanks.
to talk. Bye.
Bye.